In these opening speeches, we both had the vision from the two ministers of Germany and Iceland, both of them pointing out the challenges we have for international research in this area. And then we were reminded of the communities, both the Saami community and the people of Greenland, within this framework. We tend somehow often to forget that within the Arctic we also have this challenge of dealing with the interest and the culture and the political empowerment of the people who have lived there for hundreds and even thousands of years. And to some extent we are all guests in their old neighborhood. So let me open it up to the audience instead of putting my own questions here. So put up your hands, anybody who is already ready and willing to put a question to these distinguished speakers. It's not often you have the minister from the federal government, the government of Iceland, the Saami Council, and the representative of Greenland to the European Union together on the stage. I think it's actually a historic first that we have them together. And don't tell me you don't have any questions for them. Yes, okay. And yes. Although I know who you are, introduce yourself as well, yes.
My name is Rasmus Bertelsen from the Arctic University of Norway in Tromsø. A very common term is the term geopolitical tension. Tension as a muscle you tense, and eventually it releases again. Eventually it goes back to what it was before. But I think there's no way back concerning international relations. International order, international politics continues to evolving. So instead of thinking about, how to say, this release of tension, where are we going? Where are we going globally, and where are we going concerning the Arctic? Thank you.
I think, Haftin, you want a question as well? Yes, so we'll take these two questions together.
Yes, my name is Hafsteinn Helgason. I come from Iceland. I have two questions, one to Mr. Olsen. Greenland is supposed to be a mining country in future, big mining country. Could be very valuable for all of on Earth. How are you going to combine upcoming mining activity in Greenland and protect the local community from influences? And maybe related to that, some years ago we heard that President of America was even raising the possibility to buy Greenland. Do you see some questions of that kind come up in future? And then the other question is to Holmberg. Today we see refugees coming up to the north of Europe from the African countries, from even not African countries, from Ukraine. Are you prepared to invite those guys up to Lapland as well as we in Iceland and in Berlin?
Okay, this is a lot. You want to start on the first question?
On the very important question, I think, which would be a topic for a conference itself. Let me start with, I try to point it out in my short speech, that the Arctic region should not become, should not be torn in these tensions. How the geopolitical situation will develop over the next decades, as of today, I think it is not yet clear. We all wish and we all work for that, as you said, tensions they can release again, that we come to more international collaboration, understanding, and the international institutions to really fight for the progress as we used to have in the past. When it comes to the Arctic region as such, it has to be, as I said, an area, and I'm quite thankful for the work of the Arctic Council and also the our Norwegian colleagues, Norway, the government, to keep it an open place, a peaceful place where all nations have access to. What can we provide in terms of scientific, you as a scientific community, we maybe as supporter of the scientific community, is science builds bridges. It is the first thing to come and the last thing to go. Being there as researchers, meeting and working together internationally, I think that is a very strong sign that we can send there.
Yes, thank you. I agree with you. This is right. It's maybe not the right word to use tension anymore. I think the world is different and will unfortunately not be the same again after last couple of years. And we need to take that seriously into this discussion, but we could probably discuss that for the whole day or the whole conference about how we would what is the right thing to do with the discussion on science and the Arctic in the status of the world right now. But the tension is not maybe only because of Russia war, it's also in with what is coming with AI, I mean the more polarized discussion, the tech and so many other things that are also on the horizon for us to be to take seriously while we discuss the importance of the topic we have here today, which is the big topics of science and Arctic and the Arctic. So, yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, I also want to comment on the good question, and I appreciate your analogy about the tension. I agree, it's not only a matter of tension. I think this is a bone broken, but even a broken bone can heal. And I think, well, we in the Saami Council, we have member organizations on the Russian side, and of course that collaboration is very difficult at the moment due to numerous restrictions and challenges. But as we've heard numerous times today in various sessions, it's impossible to map out the picture of the whole Arctic without Russia. So I think it's absolutely necessary to have some level of collaboration, some level of exchanging data, because I think it's necessary for the globe to be able to assess what's happening in the Arctic and those impacts for the globe. So I don't see that bone healing immediately, but I definitely think that it's necessary to start that healing process. What comes to the question about the refugees, well, first of all, I would say that we don't have an excellent housing situation in the north, so it's of course a matter of if people are coming to the north, where they would actually live. But I would say that in principle, I would say that proportionally we would be able to receive what other areas in our countries are receiving, as long as there is housing and some way of providing for these people. So, yeah, that's my answer.
If I may address the question you asked, Rasmus, I mean, the term Arctic can sometimes be misconstrued, and I make that mistake myself, because the Arctic is huge, you know, and it might be easier to, you know, carve it out in smaller portions and look at, you know, what it is that that we have to deal with. But it's an, I mean, but yeah, it is an, these are difficult times that we live in, and I agree with, you know, what has been said, that, you know, it might take, it's going to take a while before we get back to, I don't know if we'll ever get back to some kind of a normalcy, but at least, you know, at some point the war will end, and then the question becomes, you know, now what? You know, how do we deal with a country like Russia? Because, I mean, geography at the same time doesn't lie. It's a huge part of the Arctic that is now, you know, sanctioned, rightly so, right now. And to the other questions about mining, you know, how do you, I mean, mine at the same time, I mean, take care of the different population? I think that question is very specific as to which mine we are talking about, which project that you are talking about, because it's a problem when it's, it can be a problem when it's very close to a town, but in most other mining projects, they are, you know, quite far away from where people are living. So, I mean, and we have, I mean, quite strict regulations on the environment and how to deal with mining projects, even when they are done, you know, remediation and what have you. But there's also the issue of opportunity cost. You know, it costs not to, you know, just have it sit there, but it also has a cost when you develop it, and that's what you have to be mindful of as well. The second question was on Trump, I think. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think what has been said about that. You know, the offer was described as absurd, you know, by the Danish Prime Minister, and we came out with our own comments saying that, you know, we not for sale, but we open for business.
Good. So we have time for one question more here from the audience. If I have yes, the problem is the hall is a little bit too dark for me. There's one there at the back.
Yeah, thank you. John Horgan, Canadian Ambassador to Germany. I want to thank the participants for an engaging presentation, and to the organizers of the forum to bring us all together at this critical time. I wanted to go to the President's first comments about how the pandemic shaped how we all came to be here at this time, 4 years late, or maybe just in time. I'm inclined to think we're here just in time, and my question is directed specifically to indigenous collaboration. Oftentimes, attending conferences like this are very expensive, impact on climate by traveling around the world. The coming of the pandemic allowed us to adapt to new technologies, particularly in indigenous communities. So my question would be to the Saami representative, have you found that your collaboration with North American indigenous peoples in the north, the Innu and the Inuit, have accelerated over the past number of years, or has it stayed pretty much the same? And if it hasn't accelerated, I'd love to talk to you about how we can do that after the conference is over.
Yes. We work very closely with the Inuit in various arenas. Actually, just today we were describing one project where we have a collaboration. So that is has been very close for a number of years already, and I would say that it's in the increase. And we find that of great value. I think there are a lot of issues that are similar to us and them, and one of them is the great distances. But on that note, one thing I realized yesterday on the way here, it's actually longer distance from my home to Oslo than from Oslo to here. So yeah, the Arctic is huge.
Yes, indeed, it's huge. I sometimes remind people, if you add it all up, it's the size of Africa. But we are not used to talk about it in that way. So since our time is running out, I was wondering, Minister, if you want to have some final comments before I ask the panel to leave the stage. Yes.
Thank you very much again for this wonderful circle we have here, for bringing together so many people from different fields and also science, but also politicians and also innovators, and to work on that global goal we have together. So it is really great to have you here, and we are very proud of Alexander von Humboldt, of course, and he said at once, everything belongs together, if I quote that or translate that correctly into English. And when you are there and you see how many countries are neighbor, when you see how much is going on, how it is having effects globally, he was so right. So it's great that we all work together, and I think that's a powerful approach we take there. I have to say one word, and I'm very sorry that I say that, because I didn't want to make it too political here, but you addressed me as the German government in a way. And let me just say that, of course, everybody has to follow international law, and that, of course, governments can be criticized, and also settlers' behavior can be criticized. But what I really urge us, and this is why I cannot be silent, because then I would agree, that we do not, that we no longer make the differentiation between terroristic attacks against people, which is not self-defense. This just to, because you mentioned it in your speech, and I have to say that because it's my strong conviction.
Well, thank you very much indeed for making that point, and I want to thank all of you, the four of you, for sharing in these opening sessions with us. I think you have outlined a number of the challenges we face in the Arctic, not only in terms of science and research, but also in terms of the politics and the empowerment, as well as the international goals that we all share. So let me thank you for participating in this opening session, and invite the three participants in the next session to come here to the stage, where we will move the discussion over to the green energy transition from the Arctic to Europe. Thank you. Thank you very much.